Hello and welcome to another YouTube video. This time I will be talking about my education. I have had to do a second take because I stupidly pressed spacebar and that stops the recording. So at least you know that feature from Streamlabs. I don't know why, but I've managed to lose my... Oh no, I found them. Oh no, they were right behind me all this time. Okay, that's funny. I thought I had originally lost my headphones, but now I've had to use my second headphone set. They both work equally well, so I've just put the original headphones in another space so I can find them again. They were right behind me all the time. I swear when I was looking for them, I couldn't see it. So now I am using the white pair of headphones so I can see it a little bit better. That's very funny. Okay, so from the title of this video, you know I'm going to be talking about my education. Now, with a rough upbringing background from what you may have watched previously, I am sure you can imagine what education was like for me. It was wildly disrupted because of the many movings from one country to another, and on top of that, my parents' divorce, and then my mental health as well as that, and the ongoing abuse I've received from the parents too. I managed to find just one photo of just me. This was when I went into work experience because during college you have to do work experience, which they help prepare you for. Sorry, I was trying to think of the right word. It's not a great image because it is a little bit stretched out, but I managed to have that picture, and that was me when my hair was a little longer and also more blonde. Because I am a natural blonde, thanks to my parents being both blondes. But because my grandma is a brunette, I am now turning into a brunette slowly. I'm sure you can imagine. My cousin's a brunette, though, so she has taken after our grandma. I had at least 3 different primary schools. I do remember attending that many primary schools in South Africa. I won't share the names of my schools just for safety reasons. But yes, so the first school was I was meant to have been raised in Afrikaans, but my father insisted I speak English, which was great difficulty when I went to school because there were many Afrikaans speaking kids. They were kind enough to have translated for me, but they saw me as a target and used that to their potential. And, well, it's nothing to be proud of if you are a bully. And yeah, so that was that. I don't remember the name of the third primary school because remember, this was when I was very little, but I can assure you it was definitely 3 primary schools because that's what I remember. Now, in education in South Africa, you have to pay for it because we are lucky in the UK and have free education, whereas they are not, and probably elsewhere in the world. I don't know where else in the world there is free education other than the UK. So my mother was kind enough to have paid for my education. She was also being manipulated by my father because he used me as a weapon and threatened her, saying that she would never see me again if she didn't pay for my education. And of course, she made that choice in paying for my education. So I appreciate that very much. It was really difficult because obviously we had uniforms, we had to wear blazers. Thankfully, I was thought of by my aunt and uncle and my grandmother, and they did give me some pocket money to get lunch at school because you have to buy lunch as well. They also had what's called a tuck shop, which is basically a caravan that parked on the campus, and it was basically designed as a shop for the campus, and it would sell things like hot dogs, I think burgers as well. I'm not sure, and fries as well. So I'm sure you can imagine the sort of things they would sell. And of course, I had treated myself on a daily basis when I had the chance, when I had pocket money. And it was really bad one day, I remember, because I think I ate something funny and I felt really unwell and I just threw up everywhere. And yeah, thankfully you don't get to remember that part or see it for that matter, but it's stuck in my brain, unfortunately. And I remember it very well. And that was when my father was in his first relationship, not long after the divorce of my parents. And I remember the school going, Kaylin, your stepbrother is outside picking you up, because automatically my my father's girlfriend's children were looked at as step siblings. Yeah, so that was that, and I remember the schoolwork was quite difficult. We had to learn Afrikaans, we had to learn Xhosa as well, which is pronounced with a click of your tongue, but I just can't pronounce it like that anymore. And we also had to learn English. I remember being in one lesson, and the teacher told the head student of that class to keep an eye out on anybody who spoke when she was out of the class. And then I thought I didn't really I didn't really think this was a bad thing because I was curious about the work we were going to do and I wanted to know what shop was in Afrikaans. And then that student, of course, told the teacher on me. So I was like, oh, okay, you are serious about it. So I kept quiet and they didn't really do anything about it, but maybe possibly gave us a warning, I don't know. But at the end of the day, you can't really control children as much as you want to, but they do know there are rules and guidelines, I suppose. And I do remember being outside. Sorry, I do have. Sorry, I do have a croaky throat. I think it's from talking a lot. And I do have a memory where I was outside in one of the schools and we were having lunch together. It was pre-made for us. Millipup, that is one of the meals, Afrikaans meals that we would have in the schools. I particularly didn't really like that. It's a bit like oats, I suppose, but it can be very bland and boring if you don't have any sauce on it. But then again, what sauce would you put with that? So I don't know. And I remember during the time we were eating, there was a massive thunderstorm, and the thunder was so loud I was crying my eyes out because I hate thunderstorms, and I know I'm not alone on that. It's not necessarily a fear. It's just the loud noise. I think it's a part of my Asperger's. So yeah, when there's a storm, I have to, providing that there is Wi-Fi and power still, I have to surround myself with TV or a program or a movie or a podcast or something or a game, to preoccupy my mind, sorry, so that I am distracted during the storm and not affected by so much. Things got easier when I was in education in the UK, because obviously we didn't have to worry about paying for education. My stepdad made a comment once, which I think was his thoughts, not the school, because I did inquire about it when I left the school, just to see who might have said that. And he also couldn't give me the name of the teacher that said this, so I really think he made this up. But I remember distinctly that my stepdad said, now that we know you've got Asperger's, you're not going to make it in the school. And I thought that was definitely something he would say, because he always treated me differently and had no respect for me. And I did prove them wrong, because I came out with GCSEs, even though they were very low grades. I'm pretty sure I did get at least one C, I suppose, and I think that might have been science, because science was a really good subject for me, and I enjoyed biology, and yeah, that was just one of my bestest subjects, alongside English, of course, because I was able to invest in my hobby of writing, since I was very limited on technology growing up in education, because I was so young. And when you're young, you do have to follow your parents' or guardians' rules on technology, and they do limit it quite a lot. And I remember I would always be early to school. School started around 8:45, something like that. You'd have to get there at like 8:30 or something like that. And I would get there around 7, so I was very early at school. We would leave the house. No, we would leave the house at 7, get there for 8. Yes, 8 sounds a lot better. Sorry. I'm just trying to prioritize the time here. And I remember coming into the classroom where the tutor group was, and she was like, "Wow, I just finished my breakfast and now you're here." So, yeah, so I think she was very kind to have let me in the classroom, even though I was early. I preoccupied myself with writing, so I was really happy about that. It was almost as if my writing notes was my friend at the time, because even though I did have two friends that I stay in touch with still to this day, and we have been friends for 17 years, I was quite the loner at school, and yeah, it was very difficult, because during my time in high school, I was also diagnosed with Asperger's. Nowadays, they class it as autism, because they are unable to um, label the difference between Asperger's and autism, because it is a different type of mental health condition. And me personally, autism is higher on the spectrum, and you are possibly going to have more innate abilities than somebody with Asperger's. I don't know, that's just my thoughts, and I can say that because I am autistic. Um, yeah, so it was a very emotional time during high school as well, because sadly we had lost one of our PE teachers. He died, I think, from a brain injury or a tumor, something like that. I can't remember, because this was years ago. And we had not only dedicated an assembly to him, clapping uh, the amount of times or how old he was when he died. We also had a dedicated sports day to him, since he was a PE teacher. And I remember, well, I didn't really take part, because I'm not really into sports. I'm not a sporty person. And we had many balloons floating in the air in memory of Mr. Hammond. May he rest in peace. Yes, it was a very difficult time. I met Mary and Emmy in high school. Emmy was in my tutor group, and Mary was in my year. So that is why those two don't know each other, even though they both went to the same school as me. Mary and I didn't really hang out a lot during high school, because she had other friends. I had my own friends too. Well, fake friends, really, if you ask me. And Emmy, well, we didn't exactly pursue the friendship until 2016, I believe. which was when I left college. I remember during high school as well, they also had different clubs on at lunchtime to keep us entertained because I think lunch was about an hour long, and then we would have breaks in between our lessons, and they were about 15 minutes long. So you'd just about have enough time to have a snack and a drink or a bathroom break. It was really horrendous in the bathrooms at high school because all the teenage girls would smoke in there, and it was so disgusting. And a couple males would break into the ladies' bathroom, taking out period pads and sellotaping it to the glass windows of the corridors of the high school. And they got out the most bloodiest period pad. I'm so sorry, I have to share this because it's, in my memory, so I'm now sharing it with you. And it was pretty grim, and yeah, I remember that distinctly. It was also very difficult at the beginning of high school, before my diagnosis was made to me, because we were a part of a group called Nurture, and we were like, great, so we already know we're different, and now you're putting us in a lesson labeled different. So bullies are going to use that to their advantage. And slowly, pretty much all of us eventually left Nurture because we were uncomfortable with being labeled as different. Do you know what I mean? We wanted to be with everyone else in our year and be treated the same, regardless of our conditions. Um, I remember one of my ex friends. He doesn't really want contact. I think, like me, I suppose he's probably particular in his friends, and he actually got prom king, which I was a little bit jealous of. But I am happy for him, and I believe he's autistic as well. And when it was break times and lunchtime, he often came up to us and he would reenact um, the scenes of The Simpsons, Flushed Away as well. He actually sung to a couple of the girls who were perceived as bullies because he wanted to try and make peace with them. And yeah, that was kind of him. But they just laughed at him. They found it hilarious. Yeah, so it was really difficult with that. And so then I left school at the age of 16, so it was still quite young. I was told I had to remain in education until I was 18, but there were some students that didn't actually go to college or university at all. So it's like, how come they aren't allowed? They don't have to, sorry, and I have to. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't seem fair. But I was doing as I was told and stayed in college after high school. For the first year, I was still in Woodview, and it was really difficult because I was told not to leave the campus for my safety, and eventually I disobeyed that rule because I was like, no, I'm an adult now almost, and I want freedom, and I want to be with my friends at the time. Once in my life, this had ever happened to me. This is the first time it happened to me. Someone actually said my writing was horrendous. And they were very rude about it as well. And it was like, wow, can't you have been a little nicer about it? So that tells me that there's obviously something wrong with them. And when I was in college, I did 3 years in college, almost skipping 1 year because I was just so fed up with college and I wanted to move on and live my life the way I wanted to. But then I was persuaded into finishing my qualification because I would have gotten a qualification out of it and a certificate as well, which was the diploma of the course. I did vocational studies for the first year. This was in 2013. During around that time, I had been near the event of when we had the sad fire of the city. Sorry, I almost said the city name. Well, you will learn the name of the city through my books. So if you do learn the name, then fair enough. It won't bother me as long as my address is not leaked. That's what matters most to me. Um, so, yes, it is definitely a rough time. It affected my asthma quite badly. I remember, yeah, and it was really difficult because I was meeting one of my ex best friends, and I had to go through the diverted walkways to try and get to where I had to go. But thankfully, that is over now, and Exeter is slowly getting back to usual. Whilst they have now put in a new Costa just opposite the place where it happened. Sadly, I don't think, by the looks of things, they can afford rebuilding the hotel because from this day there is still scaffolding, and I believe this happened around 2015.